Yeah, kid! Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Handsome Homebuyer Podcast. I am your host, Charles, aka the Handsome Homebuyer. If you have a house that smells like cat pee, is dated from the 1960s, has 6 inches of mold on the wall, or human waste floating past the basement steps, I'm quick, I'm easy, I'm low maintenance, I want to buy it. It's that simple. 516-777-SOLD. If you have commercial property, anything. If you have a tract of land that I can subdivide and build 10 houses, if you have something I could build a strip mall on, assisted living facility, medical office, you name it, I want to buy it. 516-777-SOLD. Huge week. Actually, huge 2 weeks. A lot's been going on. A, in the Captain Permit world, and B, in the Handsome Homebuyer world. In the Handsome Homebuyer world, obviously, you guys know that we are making the transition from residential single family, although we're still doing it. So if you have a house that smells like cat pee, I want to buy it. I don't want to get it twisted here, right? But we're also heavy duty into commercial. We have a ton of deals in the pipeline. Some of them that are actually starting to land right now. Super excited. Just got an accepted offer and a full contract signing on an 8-unit building in Patchogue that we're going to gut renovate and then turn into veterans housing, which is very, very cool. I'm excited about that. Did you know about that? Don't talk yet. I'm not going to introduce you. Don't talk. Veterans housing, which is very cool. Signed another contract for a piece of commercial land in the Massapequa Farmingdale area that I'm in the middle of doing a highest and best use study, but it could possibly be a strip mall with a drive-through component, like say Starbucks, or possibly a medical office facility, which is very, very cool. I'm very excited about that. Got a bunch of things in the pipe for out east as well. Huge deals, huge opportunities. This week, I'm going to be starting a vlog. I want everybody to kind of witness the transformation. I think a lot of people like real estate. They want to get into real estate, but they're not exactly sure, like, how do I do it? I'm going to give you the 100% realness all the time. Some people hold back, not the Handsome Homebuyer. So you're going to get a front row seat seeing how we transition from being one of the biggest, if not the biggest, fix and flip companies on Long Island to be, I dare say it, soon to be, I'm coming for the title, old men, biggest developer on Long Island. All right? That was a lot. All right, so today's guest is a very good friend of mine. I actually had to invite him on the podcast because we both work so much that otherwise I don't get to hang out with him, which is very upsetting because I love him. He's a great friend. I've known, how long have we known each other for at this point?
10 years now.
10 years now?
10 years.
I'm going to tell him what your real name is.
Oh, God.
I'm gonna, and I like this because I'm so proud of this that I can say it, and I feel like I say it with like a rhythmic thing that it's actually authentic.
Should we do a drum roll?
Valery Stoyanov. Stoyanov.
Excellent.
Right?
Excellent.
Fucking good, right?
That's really good.
I know.
Really good.
I actually was practicing that this morning, and my girlfriend's like, "What are you saying?" I'm like, "That's Val's name." It's like, "Yeah, it's Val." She's like, "Who is that? Is that like a side? Is it like a side girl? Like, what is that?" So, I'm going to fill you guys in a little bit about Val. All right, hey, 12 years, right? 12. It feels like forever.
10, 12, 10.
Here's the great thing about Val. It was originally, I think, a curse, but now it's becoming a blessing. So, when Val popped out of the womb, bald-headed, looking 40. And he hasn't aged a day since, right? So what sucked when you're 14 and you have a full beard and everybody thinks you're 40, but now as you're 33, as you approach that, it's better. You're laughing at everybody on the second half. It's like me, I was the last person. My birthday's October 30th, so I was the last person to get my driver's license. So everyone's like, "Hi, your driver's license." Now I'm the last person to get older. So I'm like, "Hi, all you assholes are 40 or whatever," and I'm not. I have a couple months left. So you should be happy about that.
Yes, I'm super excited to be here with you.
Yeah, man.
I haven't seen you in a long time, and we only talk on the phone. When we talk on the phone, we're talking until our batteries runs out.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to actually do this in person.
It's inspirational.
Yes.
So, all right. I mean, there's a lot going on. So I guess I have to give the quick intro story about how we met, right?
I'll go for it.
So Val's a very, very, very dynamic guy. He's a very good businessman. He's entrepreneur in all aspects of the word, and he's really kind of I would say you're the true American dream story.
Oh, geez.
Right? I mean, let's think about that. You getting teary-eyed?
No emotions.
Val doesn't do teary-eyed.
No emotions here.
So there's a lot of stories here. So Val owns and operates Udar Kickboxing, right? Which is a cardio kickboxing gym, but way more than that. And we'll go into that. a little bit later. First location is in Long Beach. Other locations coming?
Yes.
Going
out east. We're heading out east.
Yeah? This is confirmed?
You heard it first here.
Oh, yeah? Am I the first friend to hear this for real?
Guess who's doing the build out?
Nobody knows this. Who's doing the build out?
Handsome Homebuyer.
Now that could be a blessing and a curse. All right, we're doing the build out. I'm there. I'm into it. So I had moved to Long Beach 12 years ago. I had moved to Long Beach and I started doing cardio kickboxing. I went to Vals school and it was amazing. And I'm like, yo, you're cool. We're talking, we're hanging out. We befriended each other as I often do. I'm like, yo, let's party. Let's go out. Now, for those old people out there, I'm going to drop a name right now that they're going to Body English. Yeah,
oh
Body English Tuesdays.
Yes.
This was literally the first Body English ever. So when we got there, they had like hired all those hot models. There was like a ton of girls running around. We were like, this is the greatest place ever. It's like Shangri-La. But if you dial that back, let's say 30 minutes, as Val and I are driving over in the car, we park across the street in like the Best Buy shopping center, right? And then I don't know what was going on, but he said something funny. I laughed and I touched his leg, like I hit his leg, and he didn't really know me that well. And at that moment, it was like slow motion. How about you actually describe that moment?
It's like that moment you see, God forbid you were ever in a car accident, and the slow motion of the crash that happens seconds before the impact.
Yeah.
It hits my leg, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm trapped in this car, and I don't know anything.
And you don't know if this guy's about to try and make out with me or not.
Yes. Anything could happen. I'm just thinking YOLO. I'm just thinking this is going to be the one way or the other, YOLO, but let's happen. Let's write us out and see what happens.
Yeah, I immediately turned to him. He gave me that look, and I said, don't flatter yourself. Right? The only time I pick up guys is on Wednesday. It's Tuesday, so you're good until at least midnight, so we're going to get the hell out of here before then. So let's do some background. Let's back it up. So again, you're the really the American dream story, right? In the sense that you came here from Russia, right? When you were 7, Soviet Union, Ukraine, is it everything people see on TV as far as, how tough was that? Are we talking bread lines? Did you tell me bread lines?
Yeah, we were bread lines. My brother and I used to be at bread lines in Russia. We used to collect, he used to drag me around to everywhere, my brother, and collect bottles for recycling. And then he'll go early in the morning to go and...
This is real.
It's real. He used to go early in the morning to pick up bread, and he'll stay online for hours to pick up bread for us. My father is in the United States. My brother and I are in Russia together. And I say Russia because when I grew up there, it's Soviet Union. So Odessa, Ukraine now was Soviet Union to me then. So I consider myself Russian.
Wow.
Yeah. So now it's Ukraine, and it's a whole different. Imagine United States broke it up into each individual state became a country. Would you suddenly call yourself just a New York country, or would you call yourself an American? If every little state broke up into a different nation, you would still consider yourself an American.
So, very little opportunity, a lot of poverty. Communism, right?
Yeah.
This is the real deal. People here complain, people from Merrick complain that, they didn't get a BMW that was a new one. They got a 3-year-old BMW, they got their parents' hand-me-down 3-year-old BMW, and Val's on a bread line in Russia. Now, you've been very successful in business. I'm curious to know, before we dive into all that, how those formative years, your upbringing, where you came from, how did that shape you? How did that just shape you straight up?
What do you mean, the days of me starting kickboxing as a kid, or?
No, I'm talking about you growing up in that environment. If you're a spoiled brat from Merrick, it's hard to have the hunger. It's hard to have the fire, right? When your parents give you a $60,000 BMW and a credit card and say, have a nice day, it's a lot different growing up in formative experience than standing on a bread line in communist Russia and then coming here knowing nobody, not even speaking the language at 7 years old. How does that set the tone for your drive, your success, your whole life, how you see America versus Russia from an opportunity standpoint?
Yeah, truth is, we didn't really know what we could have. We didn't know what's there out. So if a kid never had ice cream, he doesn't know what he's missing out on.
That's true.
So when we came to America, we didn't know the extreme possibilities. We heard about it, but it seemed only a movie Hollywood story. So it was so far out of reach that was never imagined to us. So we grinded. My mom used to take a bus into Long Beach to learn English.
When you came here, where did you land?
Oh, Far Rockaway.
Okay. Yeah?
Far Rockaway.
And now you're back there?
Oh, yeah.
You've gone full circle.
Full circle.
Is that for those of you who also don't know, this is a very important source subject for me, right? So Val and I have been friends for 12 years, as I said.
This again?
Val has an apartment that I've never seen. Forget about that not seeing it, right? Like, he lived there for, we still don't know how, he won't disclose how long, before I even knew that he moved out of his parents' house. So I'm sorry, that's just a little bit, that's a side note.
For what it's worth, you knew that I moved out of my parents' house before my parents realized I moved out of their house.
I don't know.
That's bizarre. That's bizarre, right?
I don't have an answer for that. Back to you. So you come here and again, like, so how does that, again, you're a very, very driven person. This is why I'm like kind of like poking at you about this, because I'm curious to know myself, right? This whole podcast shit, this is all selfish stuff, right? I bring on people who I think are cool, who I like want to find out about, and I talk to them. I don't even know if anybody listens to this, right? So how does that shape you? Like, are you like, because I don't even know where my own fire comes from, right? But it burns all the time. Yours is the same way. You're 24/7. You're on it all the time. Although I'm jealous because you have a business in which you figured out a way to essentially remove yourself entirely to a certain extent, so that it just like runs on its own, which is awesome. Yep. I don't know if I can't do that because of the type of business I'm in, or I'm just not doing it right. But what was I talking about? Anyway, where's the fire come from? Like, do you feel that experience, it had to? Do you feel like growing up there, like, impacted, your drive and ambition and everything?
My fire comes from fear.
Of what?
Of losing everything. We grew up with nothing. Once we got a little bit with a house, my parents bought a house eventually, and my mom got a job, my father worked steady jobs, and I feared going back to what we had, what was Russia, which is nothing. I feared of losing everything. So my main drive is loss of everything.
All right, I'll drop this on you though, right? And I don't think this is the case with you, but I think with that you'd have to be conscious of this moving forward. I think that at a certain extent can be a growth stunter.
No kidding. Really.
Okay, and I'll tell you why. So if you come from nothing and then you build something, right? There comes a point where like possibly fear could set in to take the next big leap, because you don't want to lose what you already have because it's safe, because you never want to go back to where you came from.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? So, like, I think you got to be conscious. Like, do you feel that you or other people in that situation have to be conscious of that? Because I actually, not you, but I know some people that are very much like that.
See, like, I'm not in position right now to be in a cushion where I never feel cushioned enough to sit back and let things ride out and feel like I can't leap forward because what I have now is safe enough and it's okay. And I now have actually a staff. I have a team now.
Yeah. And
they rely on me. So it's my responsibility to make sure I provide for my team. And without my team, I'm useless. I can only be a solopreneur so much. This is why I need a team to help me grow the company where it is.
No, of course.
And if it was not for my team, they're also my drive to make sure that I put things and systems in place that I'll be able to grow the business further and further and further. Making sure that my team's established, making sure my team is, my unit, my family is being provided for.
I think that's a big thing that like people that are in business have like a misconception. Like you feel like people work for you, or you actually work for people.
No, it's actually became it became like a thing that I say all the time now. It's we. I go to conventions and sometimes I say like, we went to convention, and I use them I started doing this weird thing where I constantly say we, even when I do things solely by myself, by incorporating my team in everything I do. If I learn something now today, I reach out to my team, get them on board on whatever I learned. It's always we. We're having a podcast. It's not I'm having a podcast with you. It's my team and I, in some capacity, are having a podcast with you. It's always a we. It's always a unit. So no, my staff doesn't work for me. We work together.
No, but I mean, that's perfect, and that's the way it should be. And I'm sure that, like, your staff is very devoted. I mean, obviously, everybody in business has their ups and downs and whatever, but, like, you've had a core group of people that are with you for a very long time.
Incredible long time, yeah. Right? Absolutely.
And, like, I've been in there. I mean, it's an awesome experience. Everybody should try it, right? It's in Long Beach. We're going to give the information. I mean, we're at Long Beach. What's the address on Long Beach?
244 West Park Avenue.
Perfect. So, everybody should try it. But, like, they run classes like it's their school.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is like an amazing, like, kudos to you, because that's a very difficult thing to do, right? And I mean, I'm sure that that's part of the way that you do it.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's I did all these things. Everything my guys doing, my team does. I've done every single job, anywhere from cleaning the bathrooms to teaching classes to structuring the format of the class, the whole customer experience. I've done every job. So the last thing I want my staff is to burn out. We all do the same things. Each one of us are responsible for cleaning the place up, making sure the experience is great for everyone, making sure the business is operating smoothly. But I also make sure that no one's getting burnt out, and they all have a say in how business is ran. We actually do programming. So the staff creates lesson plans, and then we go review the lesson plans, making sure the lesson plans make sense. So each person that teaches a class has a piece of their experience provided for the members.
So tell everybody, so that everybody has like a full understanding, explain in your words exactly like what UDAR is, the UDAR experience. What is it?
UDAR Kickboxing is a fitness facility that's class-based. It's a 45-minute workout, but what we do is essentially target 2 workouts in one experience. We do what's called a warm-up, which typically turns into a bit of a workout to get the blood flowing. And then we do rounds. We actually do 8 rounds at 3 minutes long. And you're learning real technique. You're learning not just frou-frou kickboxing, not Taibo, not cardio kickboxing, like where people run around the room. No, you're actually going to learn proper technique and actual rounds that could be used in a ring. The same combinations that I learned when I was competing is being implemented in each class. The teams, and we also share the terminology. So they're not just being told swing left, swing right. You're learning the real terminology. So next time you watch a fight on TV, it's not just what are these guys doing. You're actually learning and understanding what's happening from just taking a single class with us.
Yeah, so I've been doing this for years, actually. And basically, I sum it up this: it's a great time, right? It's fun, it's sexy, it's an unbelievable workout, but at the same time, there's a lot of value there. You're not just running around listening to music, throwing your arms all over the place where you could potentially hurt yourself, or you're not really learning, proper technique. Val has 2 people on the mat every single time, right, with smaller class structures that most of these other brands don't have. So they're correcting you, they're showing you, how to do proper form. And through that process, you're learning more. You can apply it to the real world. God forbid you have a situation and you're having a good time and there's less risk of injury. And the workouts, it's unbelievable. I mean, I would say, it's 1,000-calorie burner.
It's close to that. Absolutely. It's definitely close to that. And this has been proven and verified by people wearing iWatches and Fitbits and wearables and all types of those wearable watches. And studies have been proven elsewhere that these kind of workouts burn hundreds of calories. Hundreds. And
boxing is a great time. It's been around since, the beginning of time. I want to take a step back. So, unlike most guys, you've had a competitive fight career.
Yes.
I've been there in the front row. I've seen it. Half cringing, with next to his mother, right?
Yes, that's very true.
Talk about that. So yeah, you've been in martial arts for 22 of your
22 years.
Yeah.
In 22 years, I got into kickboxing as I was overweight. I was 206 pounds.
Were you?
Yeah, 206 pounds.
See, this is why I bring people on the podcast, because I get to pull all kinds of crazy stuff out of them that I didn't know.
This number always is still in my head. So it's 206 and 6th grade.
Okay.
And that year I decided to...
With a beard.
Yes, it was a goatee.
Really?
I used to comb it with my tops.
Shut up!
Yeah, I swear to God. I had a goatee in 7th grade.
Oh, my God. 206 pounds, goatee in 7th grade. And
I decided I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to get a 6-pack. And the funny thing was my parents used to go away in the summertime, no school, obviously, and strict household. And then my parents make sure that I didn't hang out on the streets with bad kids. So I'll be locked in the house and I'd stay home. So I used to open the window shades and try and tan on my living room floor as the sun goes through the beats of the windows, just so I could have abs. I'll crunch and do crunches and sit-ups from home. It was I'm certain thing. I watched every episode of I Love Lucy. My mom would call in at a certain time.
What?
Yeah, it was like I had a regimen because I was stuck home, so that's what I had to do. So I used to watch I Love Lucy, do my abs, watch Wings, get a call from mom, and do more workouts.
Were you doing the abs because you thought that doing crunches would give you abs?
Of course.
So I think this is I gotta stop here for a second. I think this is a really important point. I think a lot of people are frustrated with their lack of fitness, and I think a lot of it stems from just lack of education, right? They're just wasting a lot of time, burning a lot of time doing stuff that doesn't make sense. So that's why when you go to a program like UDAR, you have there's apps, there's the meal prepping, it's mindless. You go in there, they beat the hell out of you for 45 minutes in a good way, and you're getting results.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, we structure the whole experience to be. You get a coach. We're doing. We give each one of our customers a coach that makes sure that comes to class. For at least 30 days, we have a coach making sure that you come to class all the time.
Nice.
At least 10 times in 28 days.
Is that a new thing?
Yeah, we've been on for over a year now.
That's great, though.
We've been on for a little while now. Yeah. So we give you coaches. We also reach out to nutritionists, and we have an app associated with nutritionists where you create a profile. That profile gets sent out to nutritionists. They create a meal plan specifically just for you. So that when you walk around, you have an app in your pocket, literally a personal trainer, personal nutritionist with you everywhere you go. So not wasting time in the supermarkets, walking through the aisles. Besides that, we also giving you coaches on the mat. When you're in class, there's not just one person screaming what to do. There's 2 instructors running around. There's also screens on the floor that the screens help you learn terminology, what we're doing, gives you how much time left in a round. It's like there's a whole experience. So like when you ask me about what is kickboxing, what's Udar, look, we didn't invent kickboxing. We just made the experience better.
Well said. Well said. So you had the fight career.
Oh, the fight career. Yes.
You
know what? So the fight career, you asked me before how the whole thing started. So the fight career, I did kickboxing for 22 years. I was a kid, I was a teenager, and I actually not in my yearbooks. You may not notice, I'm not in my yearbook because I always had a black eye. And that's because I spent every Saturday sparring with my first mentor. And he was also my first mentor. And he was my boss at the time too. So my first mentor was also my boss. And every Saturday we used to brawl. I'm talking about 10 rounds, just banging away in a ring, brawling. And my head would be always swollen. I loved it. Mm-hmm. And then, but I missed every single yearbook picture because I had a black eye.
And that would have been badass though. Can you imagine going back now and looking at
of course
pictures? So from a business standpoint, let's we're back, then we're coming forward. How old when you ended up buying into half of that existing business, right? How old were you at the time?
21.
All right. So this is an insane story, right? Of what I know about it. Who knows? Like, I just found out you were 206 pounds and watching I Love Lucy. Who knows what I'm going to learn right now? So you basically, at 21 years old, you decided that you wanted to own part of this existing business, right? So you bought in half of it. But, nobody at 21 years old has any money because, you're not the kid from Merrick who, got a BMW when he turned 17. So, how did that happen?
Good question. I guess this is gonna go live, huh? So I gotta be blunt honest here. Beg, rob, and stole from my friends and family and clients. You know what? That's just a term, but truthfully, is I reached out to friends and family and clients and borrowed money. I borrowed money and paid people back over the years. And we should talk about the year this whole went down. This happened in 2007.
Oh, really?
So what happened in 2008?
Yeah. So Jesus.
Not only did we went into business, I borrowed tons and tons of money, and and then we couldn't pay rent
because the world fell apart.
People weren't coming in. Look, kickboxing, it's an accessory. At the time, we were a boutique gym. There was nobody on the block doing what we're doing, but we also a boutique gym. And even though it wasn't expensive, but it's also nobody needs it. Yeah, at the time, nobody really realized they needed it until they experienced it. So we have nobody experiencing it, then nobody needs it.
Yeah, when real estate values drop 30% and people are losing their job and they just lost their their life savings in the stock market, even though what you provide is a huge value for the money, people are like, I need to make sure I can eat.
Right.
Forget about anything else. The world stopped, bro. Yeah. I don't think we'll ever see anything like that, hopefully, in our lifetime again.
So I have to give kudos, big shout outs to my landlord. I praise them for every single day for helping me get through this experience and sticking by me, not kicking us out. And I am still a loyal tenant of theirs.
Jesus.
Knock on woods. We're there, same facility for 18 years.
That's crazy.
Phenomenal people. And there should be more people like that out there.
So you basically, you at 21 years old persuaded anybody you knew to give you money to buy into this business. Right? And now you're a 21-year-old business person. So who eventually grew this to the point where you ended up buying out your partner, taking it over full time, and then transforming what it was into what it is today, which is amazing.
Yeah. There was a point where actually you and I sat down and we talked.
This was after the leg thing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. So now I'm already in business, and you and I talking, and I had a couple of ideas I ran by you, and you turned to me and you're like, basically, I don't know if you realize it, but you put me in my place and told me, look, you got to get your act together. You're not a kid anymore. You got to grow a business that's sustainable. You're not going to be kickboxing when you're 50 years old.
When was this?
This is going back to the body shop days. When I used to come over to you, I had a motorcycle and I used to come over to you for lunch.
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
my business is different.
I miss those days.
I work between, I'll go to work before people go to work.
Yeah.
And then go back to work when people come home.
Yeah, in the whole middle of the day.
Right, so middle of the day, I have nothing to do except like marketing. At the time, I had no idea what I was doing. So I used to come to you to lunch on a motorcycle and hang out. And we talked a lot. And then you put me in my place. And I'm like, look, bro, you got to do something with yourself and something sustainable. And that's when I started going to systems and start deciding what's the next step of the business. Designing software. So we also have a software that's being launched this year. Yeah, big stuff. Big stuff this year. The software is designed specifically for facilities like my own.
Okay.
Kickboxing, yoga, any kind of CrossFits, anything that's class-based fitness facility, we're going to be providing them a software to run their business seamlessly.
So what does it do?
It manages the whole entire business. So people in my industry might be good at what they do. Great CrossFitters, athletes, great yogis, spinners, Pilates. They might be good at what they do, but running the business,
Totally different animal.
it's totally different animal, but it's also boring. If you're good at what you do, it's super boring making sure you follow the customers, making sure they're paying you when they come in for your services. So what we provide them is a super simple experience to run their facility while enjoying their own business.
I think there's a lot of points that stem from that, right? So, and I think we're at a pivotal point in like the economy in the world because, so there's one thing to be, a good kickboxing guy or a girl or instructor, or you really like cycling or spinning. It's another thing to be a business person running those things. Like I always say, it's one thing to be a plumber. It's another thing to be a plumber that owns a business. Like I don't know how to do any of the stuff I've ever been in business in at all. Like I can't even hammer a nail, but like I know how to run a business, right? So like that's a very, very important thing. And as the world changes now, because I think the world is changing faster than it ever has. Like every day the world is changing faster, which is nuts. So if you're not constantly evolving and changing, and now as the economy changes, in my opinion, I've been noticing people reaching out to me that were kind of like, the last 10 years it's all been good. So when they left their job to open up their own business and things have been progressively on the way up for the last 10 years, they were just making it, all right, cool. But now that it's not as easy and there's not as much money out there, regardless of what people think, I'm starting to see people go out of business. Like I'm starting to see people go out of business, and those people are turning to have to go and get jobs.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to make sure that, I think a lot of people don't even know what it costs to do business, meaning I think a lot of people have a business and the money is like coming in and going out, but they don't even know if they're making any money. Like they can't quantify what they're doing. They have no plan on how to like get business. A lot of people think like I'll open something, I'll get an Instagram account. People are just going to show up.
Yeah.
Like it's not that simple.
It's not.
You need stuff like this to be able to kind of quantify and track exactly what's going on. Right? And I think that's what the software is going to do.
It's also, these guys in my industry always talk about how my business made $1 million last year. Great, but how much did you take home? Yeah. If it cost you $1 million to open and keep your lights on,
then it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter how much your money brought in. What are you taking home?
You have to, and I've seen the software as it's developed over the last couple of years, and like I know it shows all those things. Like as a business person, you have to know like, all right, what's your average? Like you brought in X amount of dollars, you spent X amount of dollars advertising, right? What's your cost per acquisition, advertising wise, right? What's your break even for your general overhead, your fixed costs on a weekly basis, annually basis, quarterly basis, right? What are your variable costs? How does that fit in? So, and if you acquire a client and it costs you $500, how long does the average client stay with you? And then how much money are you making off that client? So if it costs you $500 to get a client, the average client stays with you for 2 years at $100 a month. Let's make up numbers. It's $2,400, right? And then the variable and fixed costs associated with that is, XYZ, and you figure out that you have a 35% return on, like a 35% net on that client, then you're doing something right. But if you spend all that money and the client stays there for 2 months and not happy with the experience and they leave, or your fixed cost is too high and you're not making any money off those people, then you're not making any money.
You're right. So we're doing something really interesting. It's a bit of revolutionary. There is no cost on getting a customer in. We actually making money on our advertising.
Oh yeah?
We're making money on our advertising. So the way we structure our system, and this is what the software is going to help out, agency is going to help out with, create this help out in my industry. But what our ads that we put out, our ads and our marketing brings in not just traffic and customers, but it brings in paying customers, meaning they're paying on the ads, they're paying on the marketing. And what's that's helping us to do is actually provide not a ROI, but you're literally making money on the customer coming in. Now, not later. So if your cost of ads is, let's say your ad is $100 and the customer's paying you $200, that's the kind of numbers we're talking about here. If your cost of ad is $20, the customer's paying $40.
Is this something that, elaborate on that a little more so I can understand that.
All right, so when we do the advertising on social media, it costs, as you understand, it does cost money to advertise.
And this is what? This is Instagram, Facebook marketing?
Instagram, Facebook, yep, social media. Major social media. So we're not doing Twitter, we're not doing LinkedIn or anything like that.
Okay.
So major social media. And when we advertise on those platforms, we spend, let's say per customer, we spend about $10 per customer for them to buy in.
Okay.
But once they buy in, they're actually paying $47 to get in.
Oh, because basically when they sign up, gloves, whatever?
Yep.
All right.
So they're coming in, and as soon as they walk in, they're paying. Yeah. There's no trials. There's no free trials, no experiences. Look, if it's free, nobody will show up. I hate people don't realize it. If it's free, nobody shows up. How many times did you offer someone a free service and they never took your offer? But if you charge somebody to show up, they show up. My friends are allowed to come to my gym when they want to. They don't come in. Their girlfriends come, but they pay.
Huh.
Oh, look at that. Their girlfriends come in and they pay and they come religiously.
There are rumors of this, right? I can't say that this is 100% true, but in the past, in one of Val's past lives, I've been told that he would pick up girls and then put them into kickboxing and then actually still charge them for it. So everybody pays. Don't worry, we can edit that out.
I'm not going to.
No, we can't.
You're not going to edit that out. And then they're going to edit that out, and I'm just going to see.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Keep going.
I don't quite remember that to be true.
I didn't say I witnessed it. I just heard that it was an urban legend. Like the Amityville Horror House. Nobody died in there, I don't think.
No, 2 people died.
Did they?
Yeah.
Fuck. Then maybe that is true what I just said. I don't know.
No, the flashing lights legend. The urban legend of flashing lights.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know. Keep going.
Yeah, so we created this whole, this is something that I didn't just invent myself. It's what I learned over the year. And this is how we structure our business. And not only do we set up these advertising like that and the platforms that we use and the way we market ourselves, and we're going to be helping out other businesses market themselves the same way. I'm literally using my facility as a guinea pig to show guys in my industry and women of how we make it work. It's not just me saying things and look, I can make it happen for you. We literally have a case study. I have assisted 3 other fitness facilities to help them establish themselves.
Right. And
this is case studies being happening. We're growing.
I think the cool thing also is you have a tremendous amount of experience. You've been in the game for 12 years, right? So you have a lot of time, but at the same time, you're very young, right? I mean, you might not look young, but you are young. So that's a great thing because you've at a young age, you got all the experience. So you know exactly what you're doing, but you're still young and progressive and, going to different events and playing with social media and coming up with great ideas. Whereas I feel as people get older who aren't in that kind of tech world, it's harder for them. So you have someone that usually someone would open a business at 40, and by the time they have the experience, they're 55. But they're not super tech savvy necessarily. So it's good that you're fresh, you're young, and you're lucky enough to have all that experience.
It's funny. I had a buddy of mine. He did an analogy about tech just last year. He did a little post on this, and the thing's awesome. He goes, "We all have our phones, and we update our phones every time a new update comes out, and we expect our phones to work just as quick as we have an update the phone." And we expect it to work.
I don't, because it never freaking works.
Well, because maybe you have an Android, but that's a different
I have
subject.
an iPhone.
It's a different subject. The point is this: we expect our devices to work with every single update, but we sometimes neglect to update ourselves. Technology changes. You said it yourself. Technology, marketing, everything's changing at lightning speeds. If you're not keeping up with it, if you don't keep up with it on a daily basis, you can be left in the dust. It's gonna be Blockbuster. Don't be Blockbuster. Be Netflix.
You know, they closed the last. I saw a thing the other day that they closed the last Blockbuster.
Wait, in Alaska?
Yeah, was it in Alaska? Yeah,
Wait,
they just closed. They're just
no
closing
way.
the last Blockbuster.
The last one was in Alaska, and they were getting all the memorabilia from movies. So they would just send them over to that one Blockbuster, like the boards and like cutouts of actors, and all the memorabilia used to be sent out to that one place. I can't believe they closed it, huh?
Yeah, they're closing. So do you want to talk about the new place? Or you want to keep that under wraps right now?
On the wraps.
You want to keep it under wraps. But I mean, I think
it's gonna rattle the market once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is like the apartment thing. Like I'm gonna get to see it after everybody else does.
Well, no, you're gonna see it firsthand because guess who's doing the
Oh
build
yeah,
out?
that's right. For better or for worse. So let's talk about lean nutrition. What do you think? You know, it's something I actually started doing like 2 weeks ago, and I think it's just kind of more like a clever thing because I think I used to. I was stress eating at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about intermittent fasting?
It's interesting. On the subject, I can't comment, and I refuse to comment because it could be misinterpreted and it could be abused, and it could also validate some bad eating habits. So I don't want to even comment on that because if there's people that are not healthy with their eating habits to begin with, they might use intermittent fasting as an excuse for why they.
Oh, that's
don't
interesting.
eat.
I'll comment on it. So, I mean, I think, and remember, I don't know anything, right? So what am I saying? But all I know is like, so I lost 5 pounds in like the last week.
Oh, nice.
Right? But you know what it is? I don't think it's like, oh, intermittent fasting, whatever. I think it's like, you know how fitness industry, and we're going to talk about this in a minute because this is a huge point. You know, it's just a matter of like putting a bow on something to make it marketable, right?
Yes.
So when I look at intermittent fasting, I'm like, all right, you're not really fasting. You're just like eating 3 or 4 normal like meals in like a certain window of time, which is like what you normally should be eating. Like you wake up in the morning, you have breakfast, maybe you'll have a snack, you'll have lunch, then you'll have dinner, right? Whatever. But like, I think people got so into eating like 6, 7, 8 small meals or whatever it is, and they end up not being small meals, that you just eat so much throughout the entire day, and then you're like not sleeping because you're working. So you end up eating like 18 hours a day. And
Sure.
In my case, it's Ben and Jerry's and cookies and loaves of bread, right? So like that's how you end up gaining weight. But if you just eat like a normal person, whether it's intermittent fasting or whatever,
Sure.
in a certain window of time that you're supposed to be eating, you'll be fine.
Absolutely. People will pay the same amount or more for anything that's packaged differently.
Yeah.
The same kind of diets we
Shiny
heard about.
penny theory.
Yeah, well, there you go. Exactly.
So here's a big thing, right? You've been in business for 12 years, which is very, very difficult, right? That's
Yeah.
one thing. You've been in business for 12 years in the fitness world, right? Which is like virtually unheard of because the fitness world is known as a fad industry.
Sure.
Right? And you've been doing the same thing for 12 years very successfully, right? So O'Cannon's and like the original like version of it had been around for what, 18 years to this point?
At this point, the original version of it
Yeah.
was 22 years, actually. Yeah, in 22 years. I started
Oh,
off.
the original version is
Yeah.
22 years, right? So how do you sustain and then now grow in an industry that's like so fatty? And you know, now that boxing is the big thing, are you worried that it might not be the big thing in 5 years?
No.
Like,
fact-
I mean, you had Curves, then you have Orange Theory, which I don't even understand.
Fantastic business, by the way, Orange Theory.
Yeah?
Yeah. I met with some of the owners a bunch of years ago. They opened up a place over at Dix Hills. I met them during the build out. Incredible business. They were the first, I think they were first major platform to incorporate wearables like heart monitors in class. And they really perfected it. Polar came out with something before that for spinning. It didn't take off as much, but Orange Theory, they really did a good job with that.
I mean, you have Curves that came and went.
Yeah, so to answer your question, we left the fad. If you're going back to the days when you and I met, and you were at my place back then, we were doing very fatty things. We were doing cardio kickboxing and bag training and body toning, and you do all these little things. When you become a jack of all trades, and that's, I find to be a red flag. Any business that starts to incorporate extra pieces of services that they weren't perfecting in before, it's a red flag. Once a restaurant is doing like Thirsty Thursdays or Taco Tuesdays, when they weren't ever doing anything like that from the very beginning, it screams to me like a red flag where they try and add more services.
Because they're not doing well.
Correct.
This is kind of like the real estate equivalent of like you buy a house, then you can't pay for it, then you start renting out your garage and your basement and like rooms. So that's like, I guess, the fitness equivalent of that.
Yes. Imagine, this is might be make people a little upset about this, but imagine a CrossFit suddenly started doing yoga and spinning. Just because you have the space for it. Just because you have the space for it doesn't necessarily mean then you pull away from your original product. So my original skill set was in kickboxing. Mm-hmm. Yes, we ran cardio kickboxing classes in the early days.
And you trained fighters at one point too.
Yeah, we did. We had a fight club. And then eventually people just didn't want to go back to work with black eyes and broken noses.
Or get them in general, yes. Yeah.
Yes. We had cops and doctors and like, listen, Val, we can't keep going back to our clients with a broken nose and a black eye.
That's not a good look.
No, but they're great people. But we pulled away from the fads, actually. That's what we did. I closed the fads. And what I ended up doing, it was a bunch of years ago, I literally shut down a portion of my business and focus on the niche. And that's fitness kickboxing is our niche.
Okay. And then, so let me ask you a question, because sometimes people get comfortable, right? And they don't want to like take a step back to take 2 steps forward, right? They get certain comfortable. So like that transitional year or like period of time, whatever it was it difficult? Did sales obviously drop because now you kind of have to reinvent yourself? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, it was definitely an uphill battle because, like you said, people are used to people used to their routines. They don't want to leave their routines because here comes a kid and he's going to tell them what to do differently. They want to do their original fatty things to do, which is the newest, hottest TRX or spinning or the newest, hottest trend at the time. Well,
I meant from a business standpoint. Like, you have X amount of dollars coming in and you're functioning in this way. And then you're like, you know what? We're going to cut out 40% of our revenue to then focus on our core business, which is kickboxing and improving that. So like there had to be a drop off of revenue for like a point of time.
It was.
Right?
So
like you're basically taking a step back to then hopefully have the vision of taking
a leap
forward.
A leap forward.
Yeah.
We had to take a step back. Got a lot of flack for it from people. And include my staff. I mean, in the beginning, people were a little nervous about what we're doing, my vision. And I think it was important for as an entrepreneur and when you have a team to be the strategist. You got to have a strategy to leap forward and have your team on board. And it took a little time to make sure my team was on board with what we're doing. And they trusted me. And we did a step back. We shut down the fads, focused on the niche, and literally leaped forward, set records. We set a standard. We literally set a standard. And now it's actually some of the things we do now are implemented in franchises.
Wow, that's awesome. What's the so I'm curious to know what's the next 3 years look like, 5 years look like, 10 years look like? Do I ever get, I mean, obviously I know you forever. You're at my wedding party. Do I ever get to see any of this stuff besides the build out before it happens? Or am I just going to be like, is it going to be an apartment thing?
No, absolutely not. You're going to be in for a ride. You've been with me for the ride from the very beginning.
What's the progression of Val of Udar over the next 10 years, like broken out?
Multiple locations as far as the kickboxing.
Love it.
We're launched the software this year.
Nice.
And launching an agency to help individuals in my industry to help them grow their own business.
Like targeted towards like studios, like smaller studios, mid-sized studios?
Good question. So the agency is going to specifically target fitness facilities that are class-based. Anywhere from CrossFits to kickboxing to boot camps. If you're running a fitness facility that's class-based, meaning small groups to large groups, doesn't matter if it's a class, if it's a schedule, we're going to be helping you out to grow your business from 0 to 100 and as fast as possible. And it's going to be backed by proven results that literally I used to have my own business grow.
I love it. I'm pumped to have a front row seat to this.
This is actually the first time I said it out loud.
Now there's accountability.
Yeah, it's the first time I said it out loud.
Because again, I'm not sure how many people are listening to this, but someone's going to hold you accountable for it. At least I'm going to hold you accountable for it.
Yes, yes.
So, listen, guys, if you're in the Long Beach area, even if you're not, it's worth a trip from anywhere. Udar Kickboxing, it's fun, it's sexy. The people that are in there are great. The instructors are top notch. They're also good looking, which doesn't hurt. Val himself he's also a trained killer. Ladies, right? Imagine a man who is good looking and could basically beat down, this is a true story, 5 people at one time with his bare hands. And the only thing that happened to him was he lost a little bit of a piece of his ear from a guy's watch.
That story.
Right? I mean, dude, I get a little tingly below the belt from that, and I'm not even into guys, right? Except on, what was it, Wednesdays? Wednesdays. What's today? Saturday?
We're safe.
You're still safe. How do people find you? How do they get in touch with you? You have a great social media presence. People can check out the classes online. It's a lot of fun. How do they find you?
Udar Kickboxing. Udar Kickboxing on Facebook. Udar Kickboxing on Instagram.
Spell
Udar,
that.
UDAR.
Perfect.
Kickboxing.
Right. Instagram, social media. Check out the videos. It's great. I'm a handsome home buyer / Captain Permit, whoever you want me to be at that moment, just as long as you got good news. 516-777-SOLD. If you have anything real estate related that you want to sell with no drama and have a good time doing it, I'm that guy. If you need permits, because Lord knows the towns are everywhere and it's only getting worse. We're doing everything. We have a new addition who has 20 years of experience. He's been running the permit business. He's done ground up development in New York City, Brooklyn. He's done local houses, tracts of houses. He has done everything. I'm super blessed to have him on board. So we have all your needs covered. 516-513-8838. That's a wrap.
Oof. Yes.